Hi everyone, this is Miss Kessling. I hope everyone is doing well. I'm going to talk about the slideshow presentation you're going to do this week for the organ system. So you're going to pick a body system. I'm going to share this document with you. You're going to get this document and you can choose any of the following body systems on slide 2 of the document. Now, when you do this project, before you submit it, you are going to actually delete these first two slides. These are just like direction slides and the slides of the systems you can choose from. You're going to actually get rid of those before you submit. Feel free when you do this, after you're done typing in all your info, to change the fonts, change the background, make it as pretty as you want. Please just make sure you include the information needed and the pictures and everything. When it comes to this, make sure you are not plagiarizing. So if you get something off the internet, even if you cite your source, you need to change it into your own words. You shouldn't just be copying and pasting. Like I said on the video, if you were on the conference call with me, if it sounds too good to be true, if it's written really well to where it's like, I don't know if that person wrote that, that sounds like something Google would write or a scientist would write, then it's probably too good to be true. So make sure you don't plagiarize. Put it in your own words. Each slide needs to have a minimum of one picture. Some of your slides might need to have more pictures depending on what you want to include. Don't forget to cite your sources as you go along, and I'm going to show you a trick to do that if you use the databases. And then we want to have bullet points. I don't want to read big long paragraphs on a slide, so you want to bullet point it so that there's room for pictures and you're just getting basically right to the point. Okay. So when you pick a body system, you're going to have to research the body system. You're going to have to look up the following information for your body system. So obviously the name is pretty simple. And then you're going to want to find a picture of that body system with the labels. So labels meaning like it's labeling the organs and everything involved in that body system. Then you are going to tell me what organs are in the body system. A minimum of 3. Now some systems, body systems have probably like 10 organs in them. Some have 3, some have 5. It all depends on which system you have. And it doesn't necessarily mean an organ, but an organ could also mean a part. So a part of a system as well. And I'll change that to say parts here, so it's not just organs. When you list your organs, you need to tell me 2 things about the organ. The function of the organ, so what the organ does for the body or what its role is in the body system. And then any special features of that organ or what the organ looks like or special facts. And again, you have to have 3 of these. If you cannot fit all 3 on this one slide, feel free to add another slide into it. You simply add a slide by clicking this plus button up here, picking what kind of slide you want, and then it'll just insert it right into the spot. If you need to go add slides, feel free to do that. As far as pictures here, now a good pictures to include would probably be like pictures of the organs that you're talking about or of the parts that you're talking about. Try to be school appropriate. Try not to get too gruesome if they're like actual pictures of organs. That's fine. Just be, you know what's appropriate. The next slide, what does this body system do for the human body? So you're going to basically, in bullet points, explain the purpose of this. Some body systems have multiple functions for the body. Others have one main purpose. And then why is it necessary to have this system? How does it help us carry out our daily lives? Not one of these systems is not a necessity for us. They all help us in some way or another. And again, a picture that ties into this slide. You want your pictures to deal with whatever your slide is talking about. You don't want to just throw a random picture on a slide that doesn't have anything to do with that slide. Slide 6, what diseases and disorders impact your body system? You need to find 3 diseases or disorders that impact your system. These can be diseases that are maybe infectious, non-infectious. It depends on what you find and what your system is. Once you find that, you're going to list the disease and disorder, and then you're going to tell me 4 symptoms of that disease or disorder, a treatment. Now, a treatment does not necessarily mean a cure. That could just mean medications that are necessary, and then maybe an image that goes along with that disorder. So let's say you do, I'm not going to tell you what system this would fall into, but let's say you do polycystic kidney disease. If you look up PKD, polycystic kidney disease, and that's the one you're talking about, you might want to look up what a polycystic kidney would look like and include that as your picture. If you're doing heart disease, you would want to include that. If you're doing diabetes or some kind of cancer, you'd want to include that. Okay, so 4 symptoms, a treatment, and then an image that goes along with that. And you do that for 3 different diseases or disorders. This is definitely going to be one of those ones you might need to add a slide for up here because you might not be able to fit all of this on one slide. If you want to do a slide for each disease and add 3 extra slides in here, that's up to you. Totally your choice. Just make sure you complete all the parts. Don't just list 3 diseases and call it a day. You need to go into detail about those diseases, what the symptoms are, and the treatment. Okay. Slide 7. Who specializes in this body system? So like, let's say I did have an issue with my digestive system and I was having a hard time digesting food or my stomach was hurting. What kind of doctor would you go and see for this? Most of the time you're not going to go and see a primary care doctor for a lot of the situations you would have with certain body systems. They're going to send you to specialists. Who are these specialists? What kind of doctor are they? What are they called? Are they a neurologist? Are they a cardiologist? Are they a I don't know, a phlebotomist? It depends. Okay, so it depends on your system. That'll be something you'll have to look up. Slide 8, interesting facts. Just 2. Anything you found interesting as you were doing your research. Now, the key here is it cannot be stuff you've already mentioned. So you can't say, oh, an interesting fact I learned was that my system contains the kidneys. Well, you already mentioned that up by the organs that it includes. So you need to think of something interesting other than something you already mentioned. Okay, and you'll find that in your research. Don't go to Google and type in interesting facts about. It's what you find interesting, not what Google finds interesting. So as you're reading through this stuff, what is something like you're like, oh, hey, I didn't know that. That can be an interesting fact. Just because it's not interesting to me doesn't mean you can't think it's interesting. Okay. And lastly, slide 9 is where you're going to cite your sources. You have to have a minimum of 3 sources right here, it says. When you cite them, if you're using a random source you're finding off of Google, you're going to want to use one of these 2 citation pages that'll cite it for you. If you use the databases that I'm going to show you, it'll do it for you. And I'll show you how to do that in just a second. So real quick, I didn't mention this, but as you go in and like type something in and you change this, you're going to actually change the information. So when it says name a body system, you're going to actually highlight that and type in your body system. So if I have the digestive system, I would do that. And then same thing here. So you're just going to change my directions into your information. You might want to do this first on like a scratch paper so you don't forget. Don't delete all this and then forget that you have to do a function and some special facts, because I want you to get your full credit for this. Okay, so let me show you the databases that Miss Rudiga actually has provided for us, and these are actually really cool because you know they are legitimate sources. You don't have to question whether it's a good source or not, like you do if you were just using Google. And it's good information. It's written at a student lexile of a 7th and 8th grader. And the best thing is that it'll cite the sources for you. Every single one databases will cite the source for you. So I'm just going to go to World Book, for example. And by the way, if you look, here's the username and passwords for all of these. When you first go to these, it's not going to sign you in. It's going to sign me in automatically because I've already logged into all of these things. But for you, you're going to have to actually type in this username and password. So I'm just going to go to World Book real quick to show you. And when you go to World Book, it's going to give you some options to choose from here. I always pick either student or advanced. For this purpose today, I'm just going to pick students. And when you get into the World Book site, it's going to give you an option to do a search. That's what you're going to want to search for, is whatever your system is. So I'm going to search for the digestive system. Actually, you know what? I'm going to search for the circulatory, because I know there's a good one, a good article on here for the circulatory system. Now, these are great databases to use for any research you have. You may have already used some of these for the Chicago History Fair, but these are all really good sources to use. So here we go right here alone. You have a picture that pops up. I'm pretty sure somewhere on your slideshow it asks you to include a labeled picture. So right off the bat, you could copy and paste this picture onto that slide that you are need it for. Now, when you get into the circulatory system, let's say you use this, and if you have the circulatory system, you would definitely use this article. There's a lot of information in this. Since you're using it, you'd want to cite it as one of your sources. So when I scroll all the way down, right here it says how to cite this article. If you click that, here are your 4 ways of citing: MLA, APA, and Harvard. I told you we want the MLA format. So you would simply highlight this, you're going to copy it, and then when you are going back into your slideshow, go on to your citations, and I'm just going to delete these because this is where I'm going to cite my sources at. Now I'm just going to put it here for now in case I need to use those. I'm going to paste it in, and then when you cite a source, you just want to make sure that the second line is indented. So you, whoopsie, need to just hit a hard return and indent. Okay, so now I can't get it, of course, but you want this second line to be indented like this, okay, preferably without the double space there. And I think to get rid of the double space, I can just change it to single space here. I'm not sure. We'll have to play around with that. I'm not too picky about the spacing, but you do need to indent that second line, and they should be alphabetical. So let's say my next author's name started with a P. It would need to go before this one because P comes before S in the alphabet. So you want them in alphabetical order, and you want that second line indented. So that's one really nice thing about this MLA format you'll want to include, or these databases that you want to include. Every single one of these does that. If I go into Scholastic Go, this is another really good source you can use. Every single one of these are really good. But Scholastic Go, again, you're going to have to put that information in. I'm already ready because I've already saved it on my computer. And this time I'm going to search for the respiratory system. And when you do a search, lots of information is going to pop up. There's images you can use for the respiratory system. So if you click more images, you can copy and paste any of these images. And then you have a lot of different, here's even an expiratory system. So you know this is coming from encyclopedias. So let's see, respiratory system disorders. Let's say I need to do that slide about diseases and disorders. Go ahead and use the article. It looks like there's a lot of different diseases and disorders mentioned here. And if you scroll all the way down, here are your citations once again. So you would simply copy and paste that one at a time, obviously. And let's say it was still the same one. This one starts with a B, so I'd want to put it first. And then, like I said, you want to indent that second line. Okay? So right there, you have 2 sources right off the bat, and you haven't even touched Google. Now, I know I was searching for 2 different systems, but if I could have gone here and typed in circulatory system and found just as much information. So I would start with these databases. They're definitely, like you said, here you go, more pictures, here's more information. And when you click on it, if you scroll all the way down, there are your sources. So these are nice because citing sources, it gets annoying, it gets kind of tedious, it gets kind of hard to do, especially on websites. It's hard to find an author and a publisher and all that stuff. So I highly recommend you start here first. I bet you could find almost 90%, 95% of your information here on these databases. Then save Google for the ones that you have to actually Google. For example, you might need to actually Google who specializes in this body system. Okay. So that's all I have for you. I have about 50 seconds before I run out of time. So feel free. This is your assignment for the whole week. It's coming to you on Monday, and then you have it all week to work on this. So no new science assignments will come to you this entire week. This is your assignment to work on all week, and it is due Friday the 22nd. So, and I will put that in there for you so you remember. All right, I hope you guys have a good time. I hope you are doing well, and I hope you learn something about what the body system you choose while you do this. All right, have a good day, guys. Bye-bye.